So this is the last game, yeah. And I know for a fact, for example, TT, you were not here for this scrim set, right? Sorry, for this review that I did with Randall. I think the good thing is, guys, like we need to recognize when the game is in our hands and what we're doing well. Because if you don't talk about what you do well, then I think it's very hard to improve. Because you need to improve, you need to do all the things you're doing well again, and you also need to fix the ones that you do badly. So it's both, you understand? And a big thing that I noticed is two things. One, how do we fight when we play certain champions? So how does our team comp function? What is the best function of our team? And two, based on a team function, what is the best terrain for us to fight on? So for example, when we look at Qiyana, where do you think Qiyana most wants to fight from a functional perspective? River, right, guys? Yeah. Yeah, I already explained this to the other guys, but basically, if you guys look at this game, we opt to do this all in on mid, kind of out of desperation, because just before we made a mistake where tell us you get caught on river, right? Like, I don't need to review this because this is just common sense. Like, Randall should know when he's inting level 2 or like invading. Tellus knows when he's like inting solo, right? So they get the herald. A big thing we need to do is just go back to understanding what is the best fight that we can take with our team comp, right? So for example, we gave the herald. If they have the herald, they'll take this mid tower. That's a result of it. So if we know that our best fight is in river, we should want to fight this next Drake. It's that simple for me. Or we should look to fight an enemy jungle on our turn. So imagine, okay, Varus, you obviously shouldn't play here too, right? This is stuff that I don't need to review. Na pushes top. Lissandra stays bot, pushes bot. Varus gives full. Leona and Qiyana, knowing that mid tower is gone, plays on fog, hovers Lissandra, pushes bot deep, and then we defend one turn. Imagine what happens. Top will be pushed, bot will be pushed. They're trolling. They're trolling if they decide to commit to this tier 2, because we have all the tools to defend. They can only take one tier 1 tower and then defend bot, and we'll have a top deep push. So the result of this would be next turn, we would have mid push, top push, and bot will be neutral. So the map will be good for us. But instead, we opted to take this mid fight, which is always bad. And we force the fight with Na, and we end up giving them basically 3k gold. You know? From a 3k gold advantage, after we're down 1k gold. So it's actually 4k gold that we give, right? So in one play, we threw the whole game. Like, the truth is, Melia is a really good pick, but it's a scaling pick. And we already have 2 Drakes. So until like 30 minutes, we're way stronger. We should be way stronger. We're up 3k gold. Alessandra is 5-0. Even the base damage of Lissandra is enough where this Melia ult won't matter, you know? So I think this is something that we really need to talk about and think about. And the second thing for me is, okay, how does terrain work? This is the same thing. Look, we kill Lissandra. So we kill LeBlanc. LeBlanc dies to Qiyana cheese, right? Really well done, Randall. We push out bot. So now we need to recognize this tower's gone. They already have the tempo for this. If they full commit on mid wave, they have a wave, they have vision. The objective is top tower. If we go to defend top, we won't have tempo. They'll just ignore us and take the tower. And I think K'Sante is also really good into these 3 champions. He's basically Exodia. So we actually need Minina or we need Varus or both of them in the fight to kill this guy. Instead, we full cope, and instead of now taking this bot tier 1 for free, my Lissandra ends up dying. They end up rediving and then threatening the Nash. And the result of this is, instead of us getting a free bot tower from killing Lissandra, LeBlanc on bot, we end up just giving Baron and the tower. So this is what I mean by, like, the game's in our hands and it was a good game, but we just didn't have the game knowledge to execute, specifically for me around support jungle. Because Randall, we never played with you on carries, right? And tell us you obviously made a lot of mistakes, like getting caught in mid-game, etc. But then we end up stealing the Baron. The result should be that we lose the Baron, but we end up stealing the Baron. And we do this mid-top siege playing 2 lanes into winning. And the game ends up being even again. So now what we have to do is do the same thing. Based on our comp, where do we want to fight? Okay, we want to fight in river. Second thing we need to think is, okay, if we give it... we need flank. And we want to fight in river. If we fight here, is the fight good for us? That's the first question we need to always ask. Because if the fight is... Yes, I agree. But I'm saying if it's not, guys, it's okay to trade. Do you know what I mean? Because they're going to int. It's okay to trade. But obviously, I think fighting's fine. So the way I teach this bush is... And we have this system in Viva Cage Stars. And I hope everyone kind of learns from this. Because I think the way Brazil kind of plays objectives right now is really disgusting. This C bush, guys, I taught this to Tellus already. This C bush is the most important bush in both objectives. The reason is, if you have the C bush, the only vision they have is up to here. So you have the option to burn the dragon. You also have the option to turn. If you lose the C bush, they will have vision up to here. So no matter what you do, this dragon will be a 50-50. So, the moment you lose a C bush, you need to fight or flip. And 99% of the time you're fighting, right? So, the thought process we need to have here is step 1. If we have the C bush, and they're clearly contesting, look at their body language, right? They're fighting us. Are we going to turn on them here and explode on them? This is our vision. For me, going on them like this is just bad. We will never win. 2 reasons. In our comp, we don't have DPS, agree? We need mini Gnar. So Mega Gnar is actually bad for us. Mega Gnar is only good is if we can chain CC after melee ult, or we can get like a 5-man Mega Gnar ult, and it's still like kind of worse probably. We're never killing anyone, you know? We don't have damage. So that's 1. But 2, and this is more important, if we just go into their control, because they have this control, they're just going to melee ult and beat us in a front to back, agree? So the way that we need to think here is, look at our comp, let them in, and play on both flanks or one flank, you know? Either 4-1 or 1-3-1, depending on the situation. In this situation, I think 4-1 on top side is better, because LeBlanc is bot, and LeBlanc is going to shit on Lissandra, and he's going to shit on Kiana 1v1, right? So what we need to do is we need to use a C bush and make them trade condition, so spells and HP, to take the C bush, drag the dragon out, and prepare a fight. Make sense? This is our system, guys. So every time we play... Yeah, exactly. So make them lose condition for the C bush, you know? So, but it's not just the C bush, guys. It's every bush. You know? If you have the control, you poke them, you give one. Then you give another one. You know what I mean? It's kind of like in war. It's like defensive lines. You know what I mean? You poke them, guys. You poke them, you take the condition, you make them use wards, etc. So now what we should be like is, okay, it's impossible for us to engage. Let's fight here and look for an explosion, you know? After they use their spells. But what do we do instead? Now goes in. We can still back out. And then instead of just full dropping, we commit to the fight. Varus, you're stuck topside. Mega Gnar is not a tank. Like, he's kind of a DPS champ for our team, right? He's stuck getting fucked by LeBlanc Ezreal. Varus is a poke champion, so he's not going to explode on them. This is like the worst way to fight as Varus. Especially with the melee behind. He's doing no damage. He's so fucking useless. And my Lissandra and Kiana is being marked by Trundle Cassante. So our entire comp is fucking useless, you know? Their 2 tanks are marking our 2 carries. And their 3 carries are killing our carries. And their 3 is stronger. So it's the worst possible scenario. If Mega Gnar went in short time, we pull back and we play the 1-4. Even if we lose the dragon, maybe we win the fight and win the game. You know? And of course, ideally, in my opinion, this game should never go there. We should just GG from this point. Guys, this game is GG, by the way. There's no way you're losing this game. Other than that, little details. Like, I think we need shield cut this game. Shield cut, heal cut. But what I would really like to summarize is, 1. When you lose something, don't cope. So the rule that I teach in Cade is cope, don't cope, or cope together. So what do I mean by this? Coping is like thinking, gaslighting is, does everyone know what gaslighting means? Gaslighting? No one knows? Gaslighting is like convincing yourself things are okay when they're fucking bad. So 99% of the time, don't cope. 1% of the time, when game is fucked, you just kind of have to follow a play. Or if someone makes mistake and calls to fight. Or 5 people doing one bad play. In this case, you have to just go together, you know? But 99% of the time, we should just give. So for example, Leona dies, enemy takes Herald. Okay, let's push sides. Then defend mid. Mid is gone. You know? Like, half the game, guys, we threw maybe 5 or 6k gold from this shit, you know? It's fucking shit. The second is like, how does our comp want to fight? For example, Ezreal, Jace, Zoe, poke champs, you know? They want control and poke and give control and poke until enemy low. Kiana wants to fight in river, right? Yunara wants to fight in open space, you know? For example. So, how does our comp want to fight? Do we play on 1 turn? Or 2 turns? This is what TT always calls, guys. TT always fucking calls this, and you fucking rookies always ignore him. It's so important. 1 turn is like you go in together. 2 turns is like you go in, and then you pull out, and you make them use spells, and you fight again, you know? Sometimes even 3 turns. And then the next is like, because we already know if we should trade or not, right? And the final rule for me is, don't give vision for free. Especially Randall. Like, be on tempo, and if they want to take vision, take their condition, you know? Of course, some vision is just theirs to retake, because they have tempo. Okay? So I'm gonna just put this into a fucking translator. And my guys can read. No, I can just put it in the Discord, okay? It's in the Discord, okay? So this is what we need to work on today, guys, okay? I think, guys, versus G12, we were the better team. Game 1. Sorry? I think no, I think it's also not worth to play Kiana. Yeah, because you need to have like vision, you need to poke, you know? It's not easy. So that's the same reason I don't want to play Lucian Nami, you know? Like, I agree with you, but that's a different topic, you know? The draft, like, I think it's A and B. A is, I think, players trolled in game, but it's game knowledge, so I'm not mad. I'm only mad about game 1, you know? Because if we don't know, how can you know, you know? How can you play good? The A is like, I think players trolled, but it's okay. And B is, I think, staff trolled. I think I trolled because look at our comp, you know? Like I think we played Kiana, like, never. Right? So I'm trolling. I mean, I'm okay, for sure, guys, I'm trolling, okay? Okay. You're being nice, but I'm full trolling. Like, we first time Lissandra, and we play Kiana, and we almost beat them, you know? Look how much better we are, right? They're playing you know they're playing their best champions, right? Minerva on Trundle. Yeah. So it's A and B, you know? Staff trolled for sure, but we can play better. We can play way better, right? So that's a different topic. I don't think players need to think too much about draft, because I think Dion Ray and I learned. I think it was my mistake mostly. But I think game 1, 2 drafts were good for us, you know? We had easy to execute comp. We had comp that we know how function, right? We had Randall on comfort. I think the comp was good, you know? But game 3 was really our bad. But it's a completely different topic.